building a better Bay Area for a safe and secure future. This is ABC 7 News.
Even with a vaccine on the horizon now, this is California's darkest day so far. 220 lives lost to coronavirus in 24 hours. Never before has the pandemic taken so many lives so quickly. Roughly 9 every hour, 1 person every 7 minutes.
You know, that's a loved one, that's a family member, that's a brother or a sister or a mother.
And it may only get worse. The number of ICU patients has set a record every single day for a week, and the beds left available are dwindling. Good evening, I'm Amma Dates.
And I'm Dan Ashley. Thank you for joining us. Among the grim reality of the pandemic today, our brightest beacon of hope yet. The FDA Advisory Committee recommended the Pfizer vaccine be given emergency authorization, voting 17-4 that the benefits outweigh the risks. FedEx will be in charge of distributing the vaccine to the West. UPS will handle those chores in the East. ABC 7 News reporter Chris Reyes listened to the FDA hearing all day long today. Chris, what's next?
Good evening, Dan.
San Francisco looks good in yellow. It's the first and only Bay Area county to graduate to the least restrictive tier of coronavirus limits, opening up gyms, churches, even your office.
I'm Wayne Friedman in Napa County. What's the difference between orange and red? You're looking at it. That's coming up.
Could California bring back affirmative action? It's on your ballot for this election tonight. The pros and cons in less than 60 seconds.
I'm 7 on your side's Michael Finney. Do you remember my report on that homeless mom and her 4-year-old child? Well, I have an update, and it is spectacular.
Building a better Bay Area for a safe and secure future. This is ABC 7 News.
Open up the office, swing by the gym, get together for bowling. It's normal life with an asterisk, because this is the year of the pandemic and life is anything but perfect. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Amma Dates.
And I'm Dan Ashley. As we hear about surges in coronavirus cases in other parts of the country, California's numbers have been fairly steady the past several weeks, and that's helping us build a better Bay Area.
Nearly 3,300 diagnosed cases of COVID-19 were reported statewide today, with Southern California remaining the hardest hit region. The state's 2-week average is around 3,200.
There were another 22 deaths, which pushes California's total close to 17,000. More than 3,100 people are hospitalized around the state with coronavirus. But there's very good news locally. San Francisco is the first county in the Bay Area to move to the yellow COVID-19 safety tier. That's the least restrictive tier. That allows more businesses to expand and increase capacity indoors. ABC 7 News reporter Stephanie Sierra has the story.
I'm Dan Noyes. Coming up, if coronavirus is especially lethal to the elderly, why is Governor Newsom trying to send COVID-19 patients to nursing homes?
North Bay mom Kristen Wright is staying at home like we all are these days, but with the help of her neighbors, she's documenting the pandemic, hoping to bring some smiles from a distance. I'm Cornell Bernard. That story coming up.
I'm Luz Peña in San Francisco, where several businesses are doing their part to help during this crisis. ABC 7 News at 6 starts right now.
Now, your health, your safety. This is ABC 7 News.
And good evening, I'm Dan Ashley.
And I'm Amma Dates. The Bay Area reached new milestones in the coronavirus pandemic today. Just part of the proof that this situation is going to last a while longer.
It is clearly. We are expecting the stay-at-home order for the Bay Area to be extended until May 1st. Local officials have indicated it could happen as early as tomorrow, the official announcement about that.
The Bay Area hit a milestone today. There are now more than 2,000 confirmed cases and more than 50 deaths. Statewide, Johns Hopkins University puts the count over 7,000.
Governor Newsom says the state is doing everything it can to protect healthcare workers as this pandemic accelerates.
We have distributed now some 32.6 million N95 masks in the state of California. We have our sights on getting that 101 million that we have locked up into the state. Every couple days, more of that PPE comes in, not just N95 masks, but coveralls and shields and gowns and gloves, glove sets and the like. And so as soon as we get them in, we get them out.
The governor put the call out for more help, saying the state can add 37,000 healthcare employees by hiring those who either recently retired or are students enrolled in medical or nursing schools.
So let's get the latest totals in the Bay Area. We are now at 2,262 cases. Solano County just reported an increase of 9 cases to 43 total. Santa Clara County now has 848 cases and 3 new deaths for a total of 28. Across the Bay Area, 53 people have died from coronavirus. There are 4 cases in Mendocino County. One of those patients has recovered. Health officials say there are at least 42 tests still pending. Lake County hasn't had any cases yet. They say 82 people have tested negative.
The massive nursing home, Laguna Honda Hospital, owned by the city and county of San Francisco, is in a coronavirus crisis. The number of residents and staff who have tested positive is growing rapidly. At the same time, Governor Newsom is moving forward with a plan to move COVID-19 patients into nursing homes. I-Team reporter Dan Noyes has found that nursing home advocates, understandably, are very worried.
Now, your health, your safety. This is ABC 7 News.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm Dan Ashley.
And I'm Amma Dates. Just 6 hours from now at midnight, enforcement begins on mandatory mask rules in most of the Bay Area. Alameda, Contra Costa, Marin, San Francisco, San Mateo, and Sonoma counties all put rules into place within the past few days. You have to cover your nose and mouth while in public, especially when you are unable to maintain proper social distancing.
The rules also apply to transit agencies. The San Francisco Bay Ferry is making face coverings mandatory as of tomorrow. All workers and passengers on BART must now wear a mask or a face covering, and the same goes for all drivers and passengers on Samtrans buses. And Samtrans is cutting more routes starting this weekend. Today, Drone View 7 flew over the downtown Santa Rosa Smart Train station. It was deserted, as you can see, while we were there. Ridership is down 90%. Only a third of weekday trains are running, and there is no weekend service.
San Francisco is following a move made in Oakland, closing streets to traffic to give people more room to maintain social distance while out walking, jogging, or biking. Like in Oakland, local traffic is still allowed and streets won't be completely closed to cars. We've put this map of the specific streets on our website, abc7news.com.
Now, tomorrow, Governor Newsom will provide new details about the process of lifting California's shelter-in-place order.
This will go to the obvious questions and queries that all of us are asking: when?
Well, when is the big question. ABC 7 News anchor Liz Kreutz gives you some insight.
It's the question we're all asking. When will California reopen?
There's a lot of anxiety and a lot of need to know.
Under public pressure, some states are already beginning to ease their shelter-in-place orders. In South Carolina, some department and retail stores opened today with 20% capacity. Public beaches opened as well. In Georgia, starting Friday, gyms, barbershops, bowling alleys, some restaurants, and some theaters will open for business. Next week in Colorado, residents will be recommended to stay home, but not required to. And in Tennessee and Ohio, a majority of businesses will be allowed to reopen May 1st, if not sooner.
We need several things to unwind the current lockdown, if you will, and get people back into the public arena as much as possible.
One of those things that experts say is needed to reopen, it comes straight from the White House guidelines. It says states can begin a gradual reopening if there's a decrease in COVID-19 cases over 14 days. But that's not the case in Georgia, for instance, where the state's Department of Public Health has reported an increase in cases. And that is why Newsom says California has not yet eased its restrictions.
Again, we are not out of the woods yet.
In the last 24 hours, 60 more people in California died from COVID-19. And take a look at this ABC 7 News graph showing cases in the greater Bay Area going back to March 1st. While we are flattening the curve, cases are still going up, even if moderately.
Practicing physical distancing has worked to keep those numbers relatively modest in terms of growth. But if we pull back too quickly, those numbers will go through the roof.
That was Liz Kreutz reporting. Now, today on Midday Live, we asked viewers, when do you plan on going out? Well, look at the results. The majority say they're just not sure at this point. About a small number voted evenly between first day, first week, and first month after the restrictions are lifted. A lot of people still try to get comfortable with the idea. Riverside County is one place that is easing restrictions. Golfers were back out today on a golf course that had been closed for more than a month. But there are rules. They must wear masks and only one person is allowed in a cart. But two people are allowed to ride together if they live in the same house. There are also a few other changes golfers may notice.
There's no ball washers on the tee. There are no rakes in the bunkers. Everything that involves other touching and where folks could overlap the touching has been eliminated.
Riverside County also is allowing for hiking and biking and non-contact sports like tennis. However, people must practice social distancing and they need to cover their face.
So here are the latest coronavirus case numbers in the Bay Area and Santa Cruz County, part of the Bay Area. We are at 6,827 since the beginning of the pandemic. Many of those cases have recovered. Our death toll stands at 219. That's 6 more deaths than we reported last night on ABC 7 News at 6. There are 11 cases in Lake and Mendocino counties. Officials say 9 of those patients have recovered so far. And we're charting the total number of local cases onto this graph so we can see the trend. Remember, our goal is to bend that curve, to flatten it out. This includes data for 14 counties, the Bay Area and surrounding areas. Now, most of San Francisco's COVID-19 cases are in the Mission District, the heart of the city's Hispanic and Latino communities. A testing program will start in the Mission this weekend. Neighborhood leaders also want to know what else is being done to help people. ABC 7 News reporter Luz Pena joins us live with the story. Luz.
Based on the numbers reported by the city, at least 300 Latinos tested positive for COVID-19. This community is highly impacted. Close to 1,200 San Franciscans have tested positive for COVID-19. A large portion of those cases are coming from the 94110 zip code, the Mission District.
Citywide, 25% of positive COVID-19 cases are among Latinos, although they make up only 15% of the San Francisco population.
Julio Mejia has lived in the U.S. for 20 plus years. He has a work permit and employs 10 people. He's concerned about his community.
And I don't think so this time use some people can get benefit, and we know, and this is not correctly. We have to protect everybody at this time, especially in this situation. It's really bad.
District 9 Supervisor Hillary Ronan has known about these cases for 3 weeks now.
What has happened during that time to help this community?
We're doing weekly outreach through Spanish language media, explaining how to protect yourselves and what services are available to you. We've been working with UCSF to create the first study of its kind.
Supervisor Ronan says overcrowded housing arrangements and Latino communities' fear towards government has contributed to these cases. Central American Resource Center Director identifies a bigger issue here.
We have a chance to flatten the curve on the xenophobia and racism that this country is suffering from.
Today, Supervisor Ronan is also introducing a legislation to push for more inclusion of the immigrant community in the federal relief package.
Are you asking for the immigrant community in our city to receive a stimulus check like everyone else?
Absolutely, yes.
So far, 2 testing sites have been set apart here in this neighborhood. Testing will begin on Saturday, and today 450 people registered. In San Francisco, Luz Pena, ABC 7 News.
Collapse in oil prices dragged down stocks for the second day this week. Demand for energy during the pandemic is down drastically as air travel, road travel, and manufacturing all face severe cutbacks. The Dow went down 631 points, closing just over 23,000. The Nasdaq lost almost 300. The S&P dropped 86 today. Crude oil prices have actually gone below zero, as strange as that sounds. Off the coast of Southern California, oil tankers are anchored in place with nowhere to go. Colleen Sullivan from our sister station in Los Angeles has that story.
A standstill of traffic on the open sea. Large oil tankers crowding the ocean off the port of Long Beach. The site signals a massive drop in demand for oil due to the coronavirus pandemic.
So right now, there has been a backup of tankers, and whereas normally there would be half a dozen anchored out there, Today, I'm looking at the report I just got. There are 24.
Captain Kip Lutit leads the Vessel Traffic Service, VTS, which is similar to air traffic control for airplanes. He and his team schedule all of the 25,000 ships within our area.
So we watch the traffic from Monterey to the north, to the Mexican border to the south, and out 100 miles of sea. So we can see the ships coming in.
Having 4 times as many oil tankers in a holding pattern isn't a cause for concern for Captain Lutit. He sees it as action. But with fewer people traveling and factories closed due to the coronavirus, demand for oil has plunged. Industry experts say some 160 million barrels of oil are being stored on tankers at sea, more than ever before.
My predictions are that if we get back to work, and I don't know when the demand goes up again, you're going to be dealing with very high oil prices because you're going to have fewer companies producing, the supply will be limited, and the demand is still going to be what it used to be. And then that means, when you look at that equation, that really means higher prices.
Well, gas prices are going down. At this ARCO station in Concord, gas is as low as $2.29 per gallon. The current average in San Francisco, according to AAA, is just a penny over $3 per gallon. It's down more than $1 since last year. Oakland drivers pay $2.90, and it's a few cents less in San Jose.
San Francisco's hotel industry is hurting during the coronavirus pandemic, facing millions of dollars in revenue loss. It could result in permanent changes. ABC 7 News reporter Stephanie Sierra joins us live tonight with a look at how the industry is preparing for this. Stephanie.
Well, Amma, it's unclear how many of the city's 215 hotels may be forced to close. But we do know once shelter-in-place orders are lifted, day-to-day operations will be looking a lot different.
For the first time in nearly 2 decades, the gold brass iron doors of the Omni San Francisco Hotel remain shut to the public, being one of 70 hotels across the city that have temporarily closed due to COVID-19.
It was very difficult to swallow the pill and say, okay, we need to move on.
James Lim, the hotel's general manager, furloughed more than 200 employees after being forced to close when only 4 out of the hotel's 362 rooms were occupied.
It's a combination of angst, sadness, and the fear of what's going to happen in the next few weeks or months.
Hotel occupancy rates in San Francisco dropped dramatically from 85% down to 6% weeks before mandatory shelter-in-place orders. And even when those orders are lifted, Kevin Carroll, CEO of the San Francisco Hotel Council, says it will take months, even a year, for those percentages to climb back.
We know that we'll recover. We know that people will start to come back to the city. But how will that look? Will there be differences in how we can hold meetings? Will there be differences in how guests can interact?
Legitimate questions that will likely permanently change day-to-day hotel operations.
James, what about cleaning the hotel rooms? How do you expect that process to change?
I mean, we're dedicating almost half a day per room just to deep clean the guest rooms, right? It has to be fully sanitized.
Dedicating a half day to cleaning one room without the means to rehire a full staff will be tough.
COVID-19 has really dramatically changed how we operate business.
The San Francisco Hotel Council is working on setting new guidelines for cleaning hotel guest rooms. But it's unclear if a wait period between guests will be required or just recommended. Reporting live, Stephanie Sierra, ABC 7 News.
Yeah, so much to be figured out. Thank you, Stephanie. ABC 7 is partnering with iHeartRadio to help support local businesses being hit hard during the pandemic. Thousands of Bay Area stores and services are still open, offering to help with essential needs, and many are also hiring. Go to abc7news.com to find resources. Just click on Support the Bay.
All right, a lot more to come here. Restaurants are some of the most visible victims of the economic impact of the pandemic. You know that. Next, a live update on what the future of the food industry and food safety could look like.
I'm Spencer Christian with a look at the warming trend that just keeps on warming. I'll have the AccuWeather forecast coming up as ABC 7 News at 6 continues.
We've been sheltering in place for 1 month. The Bay Area orders took effect on March 17th. It's now April 17th. We've been sheltering in place for 32 days. More to come. Well, our world has changed in the past month, clearly, and at ABC 7 News, we've been documenting it every day. Drone View 7 captured these really haunting, eerie images, empty roads, empty landmarks. It's not just about the sights, it's also about the sounds. Here's a sample of life in the Bay Area from our first month of sheltering in place.
We feel so appreciated, and I don't know, it just melts our heart.
What kind of bear did you put in your window?
A princess bear and a baby bear and a grown-up bear. Found one. It's like neon brown.
I want you to listen to something. It is so quiet out here. You can actually hear the birds.
It's become a thing every night at 8 o'clock during the stay-at-home order, a chance for neighbors to step outside and connect.
I'm currently standing on an empty BART train.